episode of Jason Talks About. And in this episode, Jason talks about the week in WWE, starting with WWE Raw on March 24th and Smackdown on March 28th, 2025. I'm your host, Jason Medeiros. That music you heard at the top, Reality 508. Find them wherever you find music. And find me on social media at Jason Talks About on just about all social media platforms. And please give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's get into it. So WWE Raw on March 24th, they're in Glasgow, Scotland, and they kick it off with a John Cena in-ring promo, and the crowd was red hot like they've been for this whole European tour WWE's on. The European crowds are always super hot. You know, if you need any proof of that, just watch any WrestleMania in recent history. The Raws after WrestleMania, a lot of European fans there. So let's get into it. So John Cena, comes down to the ring. Like I said, the crowd is super hot. They're John Cena sucks right away. You hear the John Cena sucks. And some poor kid was trying to wave hi to Cena. I don't think he got the memo that John Cena's evil now. And I could see where a kid might be confused because John Cena is still in the same outfit and the same presentation. He's just kind of mad. So, a kid was waving hi to him. He just kind of stared him down and walked away. He gets in the ring. He says, "Something on your mind?" Now, I'm just going to paraphrase for those of you that may have not listened to these reviews I do. I don't go beat for beat, hold for hold. There's just no way I can do it. WWE is 5 hours just with Raw and SmackDown. So, we're going to just cover the important points here. So he asks if something's on your mind, and he's got nuclear heat with the crowd. And he says, last week I put a kid on blast and you all loved it. And he's talking about the kid that you've probably seen that's been memed everywhere. There was the chant they were doing, the Cody Rhodes kind of thing they've been doing all over Europe. He said something about your best idea is profanity and you're all horrible and you're going to pay for the abuse for the last 25 years. And the fans start doing the "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks." Cena starts doing the, saying your life is sad. And in April 2025, I gave you the spinner belt and you ate me alive. And I'm going to ruin wrestling for everyone. I'm going to make you forget Ric Flair. I'm going to win the championship and retire with it. I'll be the last real champion. So basically he's referencing that he's going to break Ric Flair's record and retire with the belt and stick it to everybody. And then everyone got real excited because here comes Cody's music. And they did the big sing-along to Cody. And then he got in the ring and they did the whole Cody Rhodes again. And it takes forever for anyone to say anything on this European tour, I'll tell you that much. I'm not berating the crowd or anything. They're having fun, so that's great. Cody says, what did you say? Take the title from them? Well, you're going to have to take it from me first. And he said that, you made a massive mistake saying that. And, like I said, they continued to do the Cody Rhodes chants. And Cody says, does that bother you, the chants? He lays the belt down like he's drawing a line in the sand. He tells Cena, you want the belt, take it. Cena walks off. Cody calls him out for walking away. Cena starts to walk back. It was a long aisle away, by the way. Starts to walk back. Kind of smirks, turns around, and starts walking back out the door again. And Cody says, the champ is not there. The champ's right here. And y'all going to walk away empty-handed at WrestleMania or not. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. Again, there's nothing wrong with either of these guys. I think they're going to have a decent match. I'm just not feeling the build to it. It was the whole thing of The Rock wanting his soul. And then, like I said, the problem with Cena is it's just not true. Yes, the fans are booing him now because he kicked Cody Rhodes in the nuts and bloodied him up and everything. But his whole thing about you fans have abused me. Yeah, maybe 5 to 10 years ago that was true. But in all these years when John Cena's been coming back now part-time, he's always gotten the nostalgia pop, and the crowd has always been behind him. And they were very behind him when he won the Elimination Chamber. So my only issue with all this is don't insult my intelligence as a fan and don't try to make me see things. Don't try to tell me that I saw things I didn't see. All right, okay, so again, I don't know. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here. I want to cover the rest of the show. But this is one of those, it's just a weird WrestleMania build for me, this whole Cena Cody thing. And it's been a lot of them talking to each other and then just walking away. Okay, so Jey Uso's entrance hits. And I noticed he's coming through the aisle. And I said, well, that's weird. He's not coming through the crowd. Well, then I realized why. They were doing a whole surprise thing where Jey Uso had a partner that we didn't know against A-Town Down. I guess I missed that. And lo and behold, it was Jimmy Uso who came running up from behind and came to the ring with Jay. And they fought A-Town Down. And the Usos won with the 1D. And I just continued to comment on how far Austin Theory has fallen. It's kind of sad. And Gunther attacks Jimmy and dumps him out of the ring, and then he brawls with Jay. And then Jay tried to do a spear, and he slips, purposely, by the way. We'll get to that later. And then Jimmy comes back in the ring and chases Gunther away with the chair. So they have this whole story line now where Jay's been slipping, and the announcers are selling it as he's nervous, and Gunther's throwing him off his game, because they're basically covering up for the fact that he had a really botched dive the last week beforehand, which was not scripted. But I see what they're trying to do. It's just, again, one of those things where if you have common sense, you're just kind of like rolling your eyes like, okay, the guy botched a dive. Let's relax. We don't have to protect him that much. Things happen, you know? Okay, so Judgment Day's in the back, and Liv Morgan is talking about how Finn is blaming everyone for everything, and there's no Finn back there right now, and so they're continuing that tease of Finn Balor becoming the demon, I guess, and slipping away from the group. They had a whole El Grande Americano package. So for those of you that don't know, this is obviously Chad Gable behind this lucha mask, and so they were doing a whole video package about him, saying how he was this historic luchador back in the day that no one's ever heard of. Adam Pearce is with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Chad shows up, says, I'm sick, I've got a doctor's note. And Dragon Lee says, hey, you know what? I'll fight this Americano guy if Chad Gable's sick. Okay, I guess we've got a Superman Clark Kent situation going on. The women's Intercontinental title was on the line. The champion Lyra Valkyria fought Raquel Rodriguez. Lyra won with a roll-up. Liv attacked her after the match, and Bayley made the save. So they're setting up something with Bayley, Liv, and Raquel. Probably going to have a tag team match, I would guess, with Bayley and Lyra against them too. So we're in the back, and Jey Uso's sitting on some stairs somewhere in the backstage area, and Jimmy comes up to him, and Jim tells him, what's wrong? You know, you're slipping. You won't win WrestleMania. And Jay kind of gets mad and says, I know. I don't know if I can beat him. And Jimmy says, you can't. Not this Jay. We need the right-hand man. We need the main event, Jey Uso. And he says, I got you. And then apparently just a few feet away from him, and if this was AEW, they'd be getting killed for this, I guess he sees Gunther walking by, and I guess Jey Uso didn't see that, even though it was about 5 feet away. And he says, so when Jim says, I got you, he just kind of excuses himself and walks up to Gunther, who's going down like a little hallway on the side of the stairs. And he sees Gunther and he says, hey, how about me and you next week? And Gunther says something about, yeah, just don't trip like your brother. And then Jimmy Uso just cracks him with a slap across the face, this hard slap, and walks away. And Gunther just kind of smiles. And I'm saying to myself, wow, that's the kind of fire we need from Jey Uso. Okay, Pierce is in the ring, and he wants to sign the contract for the women's title match at WrestleMania, Io Sky and Bianca Belair. Pierce just talked about how the fact that just because Rhea signed her name on the contract, it's not official, and the crowd boos that. And he says, but Rhea does have a rematch, and as he starts to talk about that, Io Sky's music interrupts, and here she comes. And then she says, I don't care about the contract. I'll fight both. Adam Pearce starts to address that. Bianca Belair's music interrupts. And she, rightfully so, I'm going to say this again, Bianca is starting to feel like the heel here, but she's right, so we should have logic, right? And she says, hold up, hold up, hold up. Rhea didn't earn it. She shouldn't be in the match. And Bianca's right. Rhea Ripley lost fair and square to Io Sky, lost the title. Bianca Belair won the Elimination Chamber. It should be Bianca and Io. So Bianca is right, even though the crowd is starting to turn on her. So as Bianca's making her case that Rhea didn't earn it, Rhea's music interrupts, and Pierce is getting more and more flustered with all these each interruption. Says, I don't care about WrestleMania. I want my rematch. And Adam Pierce says, well, if you would let me talk, I was trying to tell you there'd be a rematch. So apparently next week it's going to be Rhea versus Io for the belt. I am assuming there is going to be a wonky finish which forces this into a triple threat. I don't know why they're doing this, but they do. This is what they're going to do. Bianca and Rhea start arguing. Rhea pie faces Io Sky, who tries to get in the middle of it again. Adam Pierce makes the rematch official. There was a very, very awkward fight where Io Sky was doing all these like Hurricane Ranas and pre-rehearsed flips and dives on everybody, and you could clearly see Rhea and Bianca just waiting for the timing to catch her and flip and do all this stuff, and it did not look good. I like three of these women. I really like Rhea and Bianca, and this was not a good showing, I thought. It was very awkward. It ended with Bianca giving the KOD to Io to the outside of the ring, and she lands on Rhea, who was already on the outside of the ring, hurt from Io Sky flipping her out of the ring. And Bianca got booed pretty much every time she did something in the segment. So they're booing Bianca because they just like Io and Rhea. But storyline-wise, Bianca is like, I guess maybe the Drew McIntyre of the woman. She's the one who's right in all of this. So if she does finally turn heel, she's going to have a good case as to why the fans turned on her and what she rightfully earned and whatnot. So, okay, so the New Day is in the back with Pierce, and they demand a title match, and Pierce was still mad, and then Bianca Belair walks in and interrupts that, and Pierce is just at this point totally flustered, and he says, you know what, y'all going to call it down the middle, y'all going to be the ref next week. And Bianca says what we were all thinking, why am I the referee? I don't know anything about refereeing. And he says, well, you got a week to figure it out. So there's your answer. Something's going to happen between the three women. There's going to be no finish next week, and we're getting the triple threat match. Then we had Dragon Lee versus El Grande Americano. And there was a bunch of ole ole chants for Americano, and this is awesome. And I got to tell you, Chad Gable makes a good luchador. He's got some good movement out there. This match ended when Grande pulled Dragon Lee's mask off, and while Dragon Lee was trying to cover his face, he got ankle locked and tapped out. Okay, so then we had the CM Punk in-ring promo. Lots of Punk chants, big time sing-along with his music. He talks about the three-way. Little interesting dig here. He says, the more things change, the more they say that they stay the same. I work with children. So that I'm sure that got the AEW fans in a tizzy. Maybe some of them. He says there's two men in his way. They got to go. He talks about the shadow he casts over Seth Rollins. He talks about how Roman's wise man isn't just his wise man. And this Friday in London, there's going to be a contract signing with all three of them. He says, I brought you both into the business, and I can't wait to take you both out. So that was it. Short and sweet. CM Punk promo. Which brings us to the Intercontinental title match. The champion, Braun Breaker, versus Penta. There was dueling chants, let's go Penta, bark, bark, bark. So the crowd was actually barking, doing the roof, roof, roof. So that was interesting. Dom and Carlito came walking down to the ring during the match because they're teasing that Dom wants Penta in the Judgment Day. I felt like these guys, I'm a fan of them both, but I thought they were a little awkward with each other. It might have been a little bit of a styles clash. It seemed like there was a couple of times where there was timing issues. I know Penta kind of tried to do like a head scissor or Hurricane Rana and ended up with like his legs down around Penta's body. I'm sorry, Breaker's body, but Breaker, went with it anyway and kind of covered it up. But It seemed like these two were a little off working with each other. I like them both. I'm not putting them down. I'm a fan of both guys, but I don't know. Maybe I don't. I'm guessing this was their first ever match, and it just didn't seem like they quite had the rhythm with each other. Um, I'm gonna bring this up again, folks. I'm sorry if you're tired of hearing it, but I'm gonna say it. Mexican Destroyer 2 count. If Kevin Owens is paralyzing people for life on SmackDown by giving them normal pile drivers, then I don't know how you justify Penta doing Mexican Destroyers when you're talking about the pile driver is so dangerous it's a banned move. So I had to get it out. I said it. Okay. Um, so that, and then that was followed by a Breakensteiner in a 2 count. So Penta kicked out of that. Then Carlito jumped in to interfere and he got speared. And then Dominic jumped Braun after he speared Carlito, and that caused the disqualification. So now Finn Balor comes in through the crowd. He hits Braun Breaker with a chair. We were led to believe Finn wasn't there tonight, but he was. Dominic is now working. He hits Braun Breaker with the chair, and he hands the chair to Penta. And Penta looks like he's considering hitting Braun. And then he decides to throw the chair at Dom. Dom catches it, and he super kicks the chair into Dom's face. And then Finn Balor attacks Penta and takes him out from behind. And the Judgment Day is standing tall. And I wrote, no McIntyre, ? Considering they were in Glasgow, Scotland, I thought for sure we were going to see Drew McIntyre. But, I don't know, maybe he was in a dark match or something. Okay. Let's move on to SmackDown. So SmackDown was in London. And I hope you're ready for more talking, because here comes Cody Rhodes and the big sing-along and the Cody Rhodes chants again, and they're doing Let's Go Cena, Cena sucks, and he talks about how Cena's trying to break the record and how he's not going to let him do that, and then Randy Orton's music hits. And Randy tells the whole history of Cody in the business and puts him over, and it was kind of strange. It was weird. We were just standing there while Randy Orton, of all people, just gushed over Cody Rhodes. And the crowd keeps singing for Cody. And some of this stuff, I'm like, come on now, Randy Orton. The business is up 99.9% because of you. I think a guy named Roman Reigns would have a lot to do with that, and a lot of other people. He says, I respect you, I love you, I'm proud of you. But, he says, the big but, is that after WrestleMania, he's going to go for his number 15th world title. And he says, but I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you I'm coming for it. And then here comes Drew McIntyre's music, and he's super over. They're in London. He's a big star in Europe. There's the "Oh, Drew McIntyre" chants. And he says, you couple of Nepo babies in that ring with your love fest are making me sick. And that actually got cheers. I have to assume that no matter how much you love Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, the fact of just Randy Orton in the ring gushing over him for 10 minutes, interrupted by long segments of fans singing and cheering, was a little eye-rolling to me. So Drew does say, what have either of you ever done to deserve any of this? And he tells Randy Orton, get to the back of the line, sunshine, because he's going for the belt after WrestleMania, after he defeats Priest. He said WrestleMania should have been Drew versus Cody Rhodes, but the eyeliner wearing Timu Undertaker, Damian Priest, got in the way. He says, so now he gets in the ring and he tells Randy Orton, you're jacked on the outside, but not on the inside. I know about your back, and if you get in my way, I'll break your back. At this point, Cody had enough. He punches Drew, and then Randy goes for the RKO, and Drew avoided it and rolled out of the ring. So that was that. So a long talking segment again to open the show. Then we had the tag titles. The champions, the Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly. In this match, we saw Mark Nash, the new ring announcer. He sounded pretty good. He's apparently a boxing ring announcer from ESPN, and I think he did a good job. I mean, I love Samantha Irvin. She's from my hometown, and I'm a big fan, but she's gone off to do other things, and this is her new replacement. I guess Lillian Garcia is gonna stick around part time for what I'm reading, maybe doing the Saturday night main events mostly and stuff like that. So anyway, we have a new ring announcer, so good luck to him. Um, so here's the thing, Pretty Deadly. This is another thing of WWE trying to make us see something that we're not actually seeing or hearing. Um, don't get me wrong, they're baby faces and they're from London and they got a little bit of a positive reaction, but it was barely anything, especially when you measure it against what these European crowds have been doing. And I mean, the announcers were trying so hard to sell it, like, listen to this, oh my God, the hometown, Pretty Deadly, and it was mild at best. People didn't care, and why should they care? Pretty Deadly has been marketed as non-important joke heels for however long, and just in the last few weeks they've kind of became baby faces, but they're in the weird half shirts and they're, I don't know, it's just I just the London crowd didn't care, and they're from London. Like I said, they got a mild, average, everyday, run-of-the-mill baby face reaction that any baby face gets in a WWE ring. That's what they got. And the Profits won fair and square, and that's what should have happened. Okay, so then we had Chance and Carter against Piper Niven and what's Alba Fire? Yes, the what are they calling them? The Secret Hervis. That's what I was trying to say. So the Secret Hervis. So instead of the Secret Service, because Chelsea Green's the U.S. champion, so she's kind of like the president now, ended up winning this match with a distraction from Chelsea Green. And then the heels attacked Carter and Chance. And Zelina Vega came out, again, to a very mild reaction. Not a shot at her. I like her, but very mild reaction. And here's why. Because when she made the save, and then Chelsea Green got on her, the crowd cheered Chelsea big time. Because the crowds are just loving Chelsea Green. And the heels had the numbers, and they left all of the baby faces lying. And that's how that segment ended. United States Championship match, LA Knight and Braun Strowman were going at it. The champion is LA Knight, and Braun Strowman was trying to take the belt. This one ended in a disqualification after Jacob Fatu attacked both guys. And it was funny is because he's supposed to be the bad guy in all this, and he was the most over by far. They were doing the ole, 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 Fatu, Fatu chant. So like I said, Jacob Fatu's super over. He's beating the crap out of the good guys. They're cheering him on anyway. And then he's in the back after he beats down everybody. And Solo Sikoa's upset at him and saying, like, yeah, what was that all about? And Jacob's talking back at him and saying, like, basically to mind his business. And Solo's saying, you better watch your tone. And Jacob tells him flat out, like, I'm going for this U.S. title with or without you, pointing to both guys, Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. So they're continuing to tease this thing where Fatu is just kind of saying screw it. When Solo disappeared, he kind of came into his own, and Solo comes back now and thinks he can control him, and it looks like he can't. And I think the Jacob Fatu face turn is inevitable. He's already one of the most over faces, and he's still a heel, so that should tell you something. They had some Naomi video where she's trying to explain her new character and her actions. And when that video was done, Jade Carhill was with Nick Aldis talking about how she wants Naomi in a match. We had Michin next versus Charlotte Flair. And Naomi attacked Michin and B-Fab before the bell, because I should have said when Jade walked away from Aldis, she bumped into them too. And they kind of said like they have her back and they agree with her about getting Naomi. So apparently Naomi saw that, said, oh, you're friends of Jade, I'm going to beat you up. So Jade then ran in to save her two friends there, and Naomi ran off into the crowd. And as Jade was helping B-Fab to the back, because Michin stayed in the ring because she's supposed to have a match with Flair, Jade and Charlotte Flair had an interesting little kind of stare down as Jade was heading to the back and Charlotte Flair was coming out. So they're kind of teasing that. Okay, and so anyway, Michin was already beat up, so Charlotte Flair won this match relatively easily with the figure eight. I thought that Michin's selling was really good. Like, I even questioned, like, is her leg really hurt? Because she looked like she was maybe crying, and I just wanted to point out that little, positive there. That she did a really good job selling the figure eight. Okay, so then we had Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. Randy was ready. So that basically, I'm just going to fast forward to the end here. I just want to say this was a really good match. These are two veterans. I expected nothing less. It was a good, solid match. I'm just going to get to the end part here. Randy was ready for the RKO. He had Drew McIntyre, slowly getting up, and he was doing the thing where he bangs his fists on the mat, and he's all ready for the RKO. And suddenly, who does he see? Kevin Owens standing in the aisleway. And off of the distraction, Drew McIntyre gathered himself back up, and by the time Randy Orton turned back around, boom, Claymore in the face. Drew wins, 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens attacks Randy Orton. He throws him out of the ring. He goes for a pile driver on the announce desk, but Randy reverses it and goes to give Kevin Owens the punt out on the floor, but he recovers in time to jump over the wall, and then a bunch of security ran out to stop Randy from chasing him. And then there was a vignette, a pleasant surprise to me. I didn't see anything about this ahead of time, but Rey Fenix apparently is going to debut next week on Smackdown. Obviously, the thought is we got to get the Lucha Brothers together, and Michael Cole actually mentioned that the Lucha Brothers were the team of Penta and Rey Fenix, so they actually acknowledged that. So it's interesting that he's on Friday SmackDown and Penta's on Raw. I can't see any reason why you wouldn't get them back together. The tag team division desperately needs them. Jimmy Uso defeated The Miz in a match. Drew McIntyre was on his way out of the arena when Jackie Redmond stopped him, and he's kind of bragging about his win, and he's going to go have some pints. And then Damian Priest attacked him and fought him to the outside, and starts smashing him against some car. And apparently this was supposed to be the owner of the car, goes up to Damian Priest and says, "Hey, that's my car." And Damian Priest grabs this poor innocent schlub who has this nice car and picks him up by the throat and puts him through a table. So, very babyface move, right? To do that. So he throws Drew McIntyre onto the hood of the car. He gets up there himself. He gives him the south of heaven through the windshield. And then Drew McIntyre saying he got glass in his eye. And I've been reading reports that it might be legit. So CM Punk is totally vindicated about using the real glass in the windshields, if that's the truth. Okay. Contract signing. Here we go. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. First one out, Roman Reigns. And they're doing a big Roman Reigns. Basically they just took the Cody Rhodes thing and slapped the Roman Reigns name over it. Not very original, but anyway. One funny part was Reigns was sitting there at the head of the table, of course, of the contract signing. And Nick Aldis was out there looking sharp with his London flag tie and everything. And England flag tie. And so anyway, Roman Reigns is soaking in the fans singing, and then he gives the microphone over to Paul Heyman, who's singing the chant quite awfully and off key, I might say. So he signs the contract. He's kind of cutting a promo about the match coming up, and then boom, here comes Seth Rollins' music, and he interrupts, and there's a big, huge sing-along, and he talks about how 12 years ago, he says to Roman, me and you came into this building, I'm trying to say, and put the Undertaker through that announce desk. And he says, and he talks about how we wanted to change things around here. We wanted to make the business bigger than ever. And we accomplished our mission. And then Roman Reigns just really bowed up at this point and says, we? What do you mean we? I did that. I was on top of this company. I broke box office records. I'm the one that got us to Netflix. I'm the one. And I got to tell you, seeing Reigns act like this just reminds me why Roman Reigns needs to go back to being heel. I'm sorry. He's just, I know people like him. I know he's popular and over. That inevitably happens when you're kind of a cool heel, but he is so much better as a heel. His part-time schedule just works out better with him being a heel. I think Solo and Tonga are going to be totally directionless after the whole Jacob Fatu thing. They could probably go back with him. Hikuleo's supposed to be showing up. I'm not suggesting that the Usos are going to go back to him or whatever, or Sammy, but I just think that Roman Reigns just needs to be a heel again. This segment reminded me how great he is of a heel when he's bragging and he's just acting like a total dick and talking down to other people, and it's just the best role for him, I think. So anyway, so he's kind of telling off Seth Rollins, and then boom, CM Punk's music and huge chants. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. So no Punk music yet. So Roman is telling off Rollins, and the CM Punk chants, that's where I get a little confused in my notes, were already starting. Seth Rollins says to Roman, "You let the snake in the garden," talking about Punk, and he's saying, "You should have let me finish him." And and he's talking about the wise man is aligned with CM Punk, and this is all your fault, and he shouldn't be in the WrestleMania match with us, and blah blah blah. Then we get the Punk entrance and the big sing along and the Punk chants, and he's chewing bubblegum, and he actually gets up on the top rope with a mic, and he says, "I came here to chew bubblegum and sign contracts, and I'm all out of bubblegum." Which was a weird statement because he was still chewing his bubblegum. He didn't even spit it out. So he sits down to sign the contract. There's huge chants. And then CM Punk starts thumbing through the contract. He's looking through it. And Roman Reigns is getting aggravated. He's rushing him. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "Let's go. This is TV time. Read the room." And, and Punk just keeps side-eyeing him and going back. And Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, meantime, is fuming and just glaring at Punk the whole time. And so then Roman says, "Wise man, wise him up to this whole thing." And so Heyman goes over and says, "I know what you're looking for, and it's in there. You're closing WrestleMania. You're going to main event one of the nights of WrestleMania." And CM Punk starts to tear up. So he's going to live his wish. He's going to main event WrestleMania. Now Seth is really mad, and he's really losing it. Roman Reigns says, "Favor owed from Wise Man, check." So Roman Reigns is happy now because he feels like, yeah, you helped my family in the cage. Wise Man owed you a favor for that. We're done. You got your favor back. Seth starts to flip out. He doesn't deserve this. The crowd is saying, "You deserve." Punk says thank you to London and thank you to all these different places. At one point he says thank you even to Kentucky and says it might sound kind of corny. Kentucky and corny in the same sentence. Interesting. And then Roman wants him to thank his tribal chief for this. Thank your tribal chief that you're getting in the main event or whatever, because basically Roman is saying he pushed Heyman to do this to take care of the whole favor. So Punk does get down to one knee and says, "Thank you, my tribal chief," and the crowd says, "You deserve it." And he says, "Thank you, but that's not the favor," and drops the mic. And everybody's really pissed off. Seth's losing it. Roman's mad. Heyman looks worried. Roman's kind of glaring over at Heyman. It cut off kind of abruptly on TV because Roman was right. CM Punk probably did take a little too long because as soon as he said that, it was immediately cutting off the show. I went on YouTube and made sure I didn't miss anything, and I didn't. That's just kind of how the show ended, very abruptly. But so they're setting that up, so that's interesting. So I just want to say, just in summary, that was the week in WWE, and I've shared some of my thoughts, but I just feel that the WrestleMania build to me is kind of lacking. The crowds are great. Obviously, they're in Europe, and the crowds are insane and crazy, and everything's selling out. But it's been a lot of talking. It's been a lot of long segments and safe segments. I guess they probably don't want people hurt. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of talking. And this segments like this with guys like Punk, Roman, and Seth, fine. The Cody stuff, just each show seems to be a long talking segment with people and not a lot of action. I feel like some of the matches feel very rushed and forced. The Charlotte Tiffany feud, if you even want to call it that, feels just like so fabricated and so cold. Tiffany Stratton actually was only shown in the back making some comments after the Charlotte Flair match this week. So, and they teased, more people seem more interested in the tease between Jade and Charlotte. Um, yeah, and just the Jay Gunther, I just have not been feeling that since the beginning, since the get go. Jay Uso super over. I'm not blaming them for running with him. I still have the unpopular opinion that I think Gunther should retain. I don't know if I'm gonna be right or not there, but that's my opinion. I don't know. I have to say that the crowds are awesome in Europe, and they're making mega business. But I'm not feeling the build of wrestling. I think there was a ton of other ways you could have went, in my opinion, that were more interesting. I think The Rock convoluted a lot of things, and now he disappeared. Um, I would rather see Seth, Roman, and Punk in different roles in title matches or something at WrestleMania, instead of just fighting each other in kind of a match that's kind of weird. That I understand why you would have Punk Seth rubber match. I don't get Roman's involvement. It's still weird to me. Um, but anyway, I mean, I'm still looking forward to it. It's gonna be a big spectacle. There's gonna be some good stuff on the show. I'm sure. I'm a little underwhelmed. I'm a little underwhelmed at Cena Cody. Quite honestly, I just thought there was other ways to go. I know The Rock probably can't wrestle, but he did pin Cody Rhodes last year in WrestleMania Night 1. I thought you had a built-in storyline right there, and then they did the weird convoluted thing where The Rock became his friend in the meantime and then turned on him again. I don't know, but um, so yeah, that's my opinion. I mean, I thought it was, if you're just going by the crowd and the crowds and their excitement, all that, it was a good week. It was a great week for WWE. But in my opinion, the actual content on the show and the wrestling and whatnot, I thought it was just okay. Thought probably Randy and Drew was maybe the best match of everything this week. But yeah, I did not a lot to write home about with as far as the wrestling goes. And like I said, I'm just not super excited for the build to WrestleMania night right now. I'm gonna watch it, and then I'm hoping there's gonna be surprises and storylines are gonna go one way or the other and start to reveal themselves. I hope, I guess, I don't know. But I thought that they could have done better. But these are decisions they made, so this is what we're gonna roll with. But that's my opinion for this week. If you listen this long, I thank you and I appreciate you. And I would really appreciate a like and subscribe and share and tell your friends and comment and interact and all that good stuff. I'd love to hear from you guys. And I thank you again for anyone out there who's supporting me. And you can catch me next time. We will definitely be doing an AEW week in review, and that'll be coming up soon. All right, guys. Thank you and take care.